I was born with a sewing machine on my lap, which was painful for my mother.
She can laugh about it now, but the truth is sewing helped Jackie King through some of the darkest and most difficult times in her life. And there is no question God has used it to help make her who she is today. As a child, Jackie's shoebox filled with beautiful swatches, needles, and thread was her constant companion. Tiny stuffed pillows became her specialty. When she inherited her great-grandmother's Singer treadle, the young seamstress graduated to outfitting herself and her siblings. But this was much more than a youngster's creative pastime. It was an escape for a little girl dealing with some very grown-up problems.
I have early memories of being afraid of my dad, and sometimes when my dad would come home from work, I would just know to go to my room. While that seemed very fearful to me, I could get out my little box, I could get out my scissors, and I could escape. And I think it actually catapulted my creativity because I was in it a lot, as my father was angry a lot.
From the outside, they looked like the perfect family, but looks were deceiving.
As I grew older, he became very heavy-handed.
And at 16, when her father falsely accused her of drug use, Jackie snapped.
And I looked at him, and with all the rage that was beneath the surface, I said, "I hate you. Why don't you just die?" And then as quick as I could, I turned and ran because I expected his hand on the back of my collar to pummel me and even kill me. And I tell you the truth, I think I wanted him to kill me because I was so over the pain at that time. And then a year later, my father committed suicide. And that was the night everything changed for me. I went from being the good girl who tried to the girl who didn't care.
Jackie admits she abandoned God. After high school, she left her mom and her sisters in upstate New York and headed for Miami. She married, but soon realized that her new husband was troubled and abusive, just like her father. They were two wounded souls, hard partying and hard on each other. They started a family, but Jackie soon found herself living pretty much like a single mom. She returned to sewing to provide the basics for herself and her two young sons. After 10 turbulent years, it was a near-fatal eating disorder that finally led Jackie back to the church.
I remember the pastor saying, "He loves you just the way you are," and I was dumbstruck because I thought, no one on this earth, everyone has always told me how I'm failing them, what I'm doing wrong, how I'm not pleasing them. And here is a man who loves me the way I am. And I thought, I want to know that man.
Now saved, Jackie had one prayer. She wanted more than anything to be home with her children. Well, God answered that prayer, and He used sewing to do it. Soon she had a booming custom slipcover business.
I had never done slipcovers. An opportunity came. I stepped out in faith and did some for a lady. And then word of mouth went out, and I had a thriving business. And I just praised the Lord that something I had just used for my own benefit for so many years now was turning out to have a real benefit for my children.
When her marriage dissolved and her sons moved in with their dad, Jackie gave up sewing with no plans to return. In 2005, she moved to Fort Lauderdale to pursue a promising new relationship, and eventually she remarried. She still had no desire to sew. That was until 2007 when the economy turned upside down. Jackie dusted off her sewing machine and got back to work.
What I didn't suspect was that I was going to love it so much. I didn't realize that what I had disdained for the past several years was such a love in my heart. And getting that machine out again, I just began to fly.
Among the first ideas to take flight was custom-made handbags. Jackie admits it wasn't just a desire, it was more like a compulsion. Now deep into her faith, she began to pray.
One day, 3 words came to my mind: design, create, donate. And I thought, well, now there's a thought, because we did not have the extra money to be donating to charities, which we really wanted to do. We wanted to give. And now I thought, aha, this is a way I can give.
A short time later, Jackie started a sewing club at a Christian school affiliated with her church. Encouragement and donations poured in, and the kids weren't the only ones learning.
The Lord really began to teach me a lot. And as that happened, I began to dig into the Word because I wanted to bring God's principles and His Word into this and use it as a means to disciple these kids.
And with that, the seeds of a sewing ministry were planted. God used another Christian businesswoman to pave the way for Jackie's own studio, along with a huge donation of high-end fabrics. Now the ministry was taking focus. Jackie's heart was drawn to teach. But for young students like Maria Barahona, it has been so much more than sewing.
It was just a totally amazing experience. I made a friend. We talked about school, boys, life as a Christian, because it's a hard life. I would cry with her, I would laugh with her, I would sew with her, of course. And it was just amazing.
Maria has caught her teacher's infectious desire to help others. Jackie has a burden to provide bereavement gowns for stillborns and clothing for orphans. Maria, meanwhile, has a heart for creating both.
I would make stuff for me, but it wasn't as much more. It was more of a blessing making it for someone else that didn't have the things I have.
Maria sees herself in the mission field one day, but Jackie believes her role is here, helping other students by sowing seeds of encouragement, faith, and love.
It has been a wonderful place for fellowship and reflecting on God's Word. It is very refreshing to have that time with other women, especially other Christian women.
I am blessed beyond belief. The Lord talks to me when I'm talking to them. And it's an amazing thing that God can use sewing in so many different ways.
Jackie wishes more church leaders recognized the value God's Word puts on designing and creating. In fact, her ministry verse comes from Exodus, where God speaks to Moses about making garments for the priests.
And He says, and you will do this for glory and for beauty. And that really blew me away because I thought, with this talent God has given me, I can bring Him glory. And one of the things I love about what I do, when I create, I feel the pleasure of God. I feel like I am gaining the heart of the Almighty.
Jackie King knows she has been blessed. Her passion now is to bless others through sewing.
As a little girl, it was fun. It was a place to hide. As a mom, it was provision. And today, I believe it's about glorifying the Lord and saving souls. And so when I think about that little girl with her shoebox full of scraps, I know that I've come full circle. God has just given me a bigger shoebox.